Alright, so welcome back. So this one right here is going to be for the Olamic Busker. You might recognize this model as the one that Nick Shabazz was going crazy about last year. I wanted to see what all the fuss was about for myself, so I just got around to picking one up. So, if you're looking at this one, first thing you need to know is that it's a small knife. You're looking at a blade that's just under 2.5 inches with 2.3 inches of edge. And that's really not all that much, so let's just talk for a second here. So what is all of this for? At least for me personally, I like to carry two knives on me. One in the front right pocket, one in the watch pocket. I try to carry two different styles so that one covers for the other as much as possible, like a Tonto and a sheep's foot, big knife, small knife, you guys get the point. But the thing is, I have a bunch of options for that main knife. I can basically find whatever I want. That small one though, that's a different story. It's hard to find quality stuff in that size, and that's exactly why I picked this little guy up. Specifically, I wanted something that was just a bit smaller than my small 21, because in some watch pockets, it's just a little bit shallower. Yep, I'm just going to close both of them up, and you can kind of see that it's just a head taller than this. The small 21 is just a head taller than the Busker. So, size comparison right here. So yeah, so when I first got this one, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I wasn't exactly all that impressed with it. It's not the most refined knife out there. It's not the classiest, and it didn't really have something that kept me coming back. I mean, it's weird, but it's not even as weird as some of the other stuff I've seen out there. But then after carrying it and using it for a few days, it just kind of all clicked. I realized what the Busker was actually bringing to the table. This knife does something that very few other small knives are able to do. It feels big. Like, let me just bring that small 21 back in. 3-inch blade on this one. It feels exactly like it is. This one right here, this one's a bit different. 3-inch blade, 2.5-inch blade. But check this out. See where my fingers are right now? If I line that up, it gives me basically about the same reach right there. So this feels like the bigger knife, and it feels more like it's meant to be used. The design on this one is exceptional, and I'm just going to break it down for you guys. Let's just start with the blade right there. First up, they're giving you M390 right here. I'm not sure if you can really see it, but it's right up there. So, right off the bat, steel-wise, this thing's already beating the competition. It comes in a few blade shapes, and this one's called the Largo. It's probably the most normal-looking one out there. Other ones are kind of weird, actually. Kind of weird, kind of crazy. Have some weird cutouts or like hooks on the end. So it's kind of out there, not really in a good way, so I chose this one. So on a small blade like this, I really do like that they designed this from the ground up to be a sheep's foot. It feels like it makes the most out of the edge, and it has this good bit of belly to it on the bottom right here. So it's great for cutting on the surface. And the other thing is, let's just take a step back right here and just look at the overall shape of it. It has kind of like this S-shaped thing going on here. Combine that with the sheep's foot, and what that means in hand is, give me 1 second. You get this right here, where if you pinch grip it, you're able to rest the entire edge on whatever it is you're cutting. So it keeps all your fingers away from the surface that you're cutting on. That way the entire sharpened edge, you're able to rock that back and forth on the surface, and you can use it however you want. With that curve that the frame has right there, it just conforms to your hand. It's letting you get more grip out of less space. And that's going to be kind of like a running theme here. This thing is just space efficient. You guys know I hate it when designs waste space, especially in a small one like this. There just really isn't that much space to go around. So I'm really going to give Olamic props here. There's zero dead space on this thing. Everything here is either grip area or cutting edge. Up here, the plunge grind clears it just enough for the edge to be sharp all the way to the end, and right when it ends, the finger choil right here begins. So, ergonomics on this one. I have no complaints about any of it. I'm getting no hot spots on here at all, and keep in mind, this is a thin knife, so it's never going to be as comfortable as something that has like a thicker frame or something like that. But it fits my hand at any grip I use. Back here in a saber grip, it's pretty much perfect. 3-finger grip, but like I was saying earlier, it kind of conforms to your hand and presents the entire edge towards whatever it is you're cutting. In a pinch grip like this, you get full 4 fingers on it. And it also arcs up in the back right here, so it kind of helps fill your palm right about over here. So you can really use your palm to really power the cut right there. Choked up in that choil up there. Same thing with the palm support up here, but your thumb just kind of lands right where this comes back up, and it acts almost like a thumb ramp type thing on the blade. This is a small knife, but I really do feel like I can do some work with it. It's a good design overall. It's not something you just write off as a novelty or like some of the other small knives out there. And that's a point I really want to drive home here. This thing feels like it's well designed. And even more importantly than that, it feels like it's function first. There are plenty of other small knives out there that are just small for the sake of being small. Like there's no functional utility behind them. No thought was put into how they're meant to be used. Like the Curtis ODT comes to mind when I'm saying that. This one right here is different. It feels like it's designed from the ground up to be a useful tool, because let's be honest, this thing isn't winning too many beauty contests. Even the lack of a normal flipper feels like a conscious decision here. Like they put thought behind that. A normal flipper, it would take up space in the back right here, and when you have it open, that flipper would flip around right over here. And on a small knife like this, every little bit really helps. Like every little bit of space that you kind of save, it really helps. So just check out this front flipper right here. Goes from this spot right here to completely gone when it's open. It's completely hidden inside the frame. So none of that is actually getting in the way. So this makes sense design wise, and it just plain works in general. This is one of the best front flippers I've had. And know this, getting the detent right on one of these things, it's hard stuff. Your margin for error on a front flipper is much smaller than it is on a normal flipper. Because swiping your thumb across the top right here, it doesn't give you the same kind of leverage as pulling from a tab on the back. Too hard and you can't really get the thing open too easily. Too light and you get bad action. This is set just right. You can come at it with your thumb from the side right here, or you can come at it straight on like this. Either way, your fingers just kind of latch onto a clip right here. You get a good grip on it. It just flies out of there. So you can pretty much do this all day. It's not going to wear your fingers down at all. Just check out the jimping right here. It looks aggressive, and that's because it really is. But you know what? The detent right here, it's just light enough where it breaks before a jimping actually tries to take a bite out of you. The other thing, just stop for a while and listen to that detent right there. You hear that? It closes with that nice click. It's a very clean click, and it feels like clockwork too. This thing is perfectly dialed in. Another thing is, since the flipper jimping is so grabby, you can easily wave this thing out of your pocket, no problem. Just pull it out at the right angle and it'll snap open. It's kind of hard to show you behind the camera, but basically like this. Pretend this is like the seam of your pocket. Yeah, something like that. So I wouldn't really recommend this thing for self-defense unless you're very brave, but it's just another convenient way of getting your knife open. And when you do have it open, it's kind of like what I was saying before. The entire flipper is recessed right here into a frame. You're not going to be using that jimping when it's open, but you don't really need it. It's already done its job. And the shape of this overall thing, it's the shape of this overall thing in hand that really kind of keeps it in hand. In case you hate front flippers, it also has this oval-shaped opening hole here as well. And it matches with the lanyard hole at the bottom too. So it's kind of set pretty far down over here, but you can still get your thumb on it pretty easily, and you can really pop it open without too much trouble. But it's really set all the way down there for your middle finger right here. This thing's basically perfect for spidey flicking, especially with that detent and the way the hole is angled. Part of it might just be the ceramic bearings, but this thing just flies out of there. If you're looking for a fidget knife, you're not going to be disappointed. I can think of about 9 different ways to get this thing open, and more than half of them feel like they're optimized. You might be thinking that this is just all there for that guy who's never going to really use it. The one who's just going to sit on the couch and flip it nonstop watching TV. But I argue that it all comes back to that function first kind of mentality. Like, more than any other small knife out there, this thing right here is easy to open. Like, you need to get this thing open, you will do so easily, and you will get it open however you're most comfortable. Like, you lose nothing from having these extra features, and you actually gain a lot of versatility. So it makes it an option for most people. Let's say, like, maybe you hate front flippers, you can just roll it out with your thumb. You think Spidey flicking it out after you pull it out of your pocket isn't fast enough for you? You can always just wave it out. And I think it's that kind of versatility that really makes this one shine. But yeah, moving on though, lockup on this one, it's more than adequate, but I do think it needs some work. I'm getting a tiny bit of lock slip here. Like, if I grab the blade and really kind of do that, you might even be able to hear it. Yeah, it's not going to fail on you, but you can kind of, like, let's just say if you're checking for blade play, you're going to feel it. So it's not unsafe by any means, but it's just very slight. I'm sure I can fix it if I get sent back to Olamic, and Eugene from Olamic, he's a great guy. I just don't feel like I need to here. It's not really a big enough issue for me, but I do feel like I need to mention it. And I guess I'll just leave it at that. When you do go to unlock it, the detent hits right over here. So you basically move from here to here. So it's hardly any movement at all. So it's so early that the detent's never going to get in your way. Even if it does, there's actually a detent ramp right here. If you can see on the inside. Yeah, so the detent's basically never getting in your way. So I haven't really talked too much about the frame right here, and that's because there really isn't too much to say. It's acid washed just like the blade. It's well machined, well contoured, and Olamic makes a ton of variations. This one right here is just a base model. It is worth mentioning though that all the hardware on here has actually been bronzed. It includes the standoffs in the back. And the pivot was actually brought to a much higher polish before it was actually tumbled. So you can kind of see my camera right there. So it's a small detail, but it's cool when you notice it. Back of the frame right here, like I was saying before, held in by 3 standoffs. Olamic offers backspacers on their models, and it's just like I said, this one's just a base model. Clip on this one is a basic spring clip, but it's on standoffs and has a Todd Begg style ceramic ball at the end. Has some nice chamfering on it to match the frame, and it's even thinned out on the inside right here. I'm not sure if I can show that. Yeah, but anyways, I don't like it. For me, this clip is only sometimes usable in some of my pants in certain situations when I angle it right. And that's a long way of me saying this damn thing is finicky. So, you can kind of see right here, it kind of goes down like this, kind of like it does on the bodegas. And this part right here just doesn't give you enough clearance. So you end up trying to put this in your pants and it just keeps jabbing against the seam of your pocket without actually going over. So that gets annoying sometimes. So on about half my jeans, it won't go over a pocket seam. I'd be more upset about this if it was a bigger knife, but since I carry this one exclusively in my watch pocket, a functional clip is kind of like a take it or leave it kind of thing for me. So if it goes in that small pocket, I have no issues just throwing it in there unclipped. It's not really going anywhere. So it gets a pass for me, but that shouldn't mean that it gets a pass from you. So for me at least, it's alright. And I should mention that for the pants that it does fit, the clip actually works okay. It touches down a smooth area of the frame right here, and the raised screws on the end right here give you a nice grip for actually getting it out of your pocket. Even if it's not clipped, the screws stick out the top, so they still do their job. That clip though, it honestly needs work. So the other thing that should be improved is actually this area up here. So this forward finger choil area right here. There are a few things going on that I think can be fixed. First up, the choil up here just kind of feels slightly incomplete. Like there's not enough to really keep you from sliding up. Second thing, the choil doesn't really clear the plunge grind completely. You can kind of see there's a bit of a smile right there. Third thing, this is the only area on the knife that kind of feels like an oversight. Kind of see how everything's uneven, and the lock bar even feels like it kind of wants to poke you. I think they should rework this area. Imagine if they brought the blade out slightly, like if it was just slightly taller over here, and it kind of scalloped slightly into a frame right there. It would give you a proper finger choil. I mean, it's good the way it is right now, but I think it can be much better. One more thing that I want to mention, and it kind of goes with what I was saying about the lockup on this one, is that Olamic as a company they feel very inconsistent. But it's not really in like a bad QC kind of way. I've never gotten an Olamic that was unsafe. I've never gotten one that didn't flip or wasn't smooth or badly centered or anything like that. I'd even say their build quality is top notch on average. But what I mean is, you could get 2 knives from them. Same model, same design, same year. But they'll feel different. It might be a different detent, or like a different feeling lockup, or something like that. But what it means is, when I buy an Olamic, there's kind of an air of uncertainty around it. I never know exactly what I'm getting until I get it in hand. I want to believe it's just growing pains, but I just don't really know for sure. Is it a functional problem? Not really per se, but I will say it's frustrating when you find a 247 with a detent you really liked and can't find another one like it. Anyways, just to sum things up, this is a knife that really grew on me. At first, I wasn't really too passionate about it, but at some point it just kind of won me over. It doesn't carry the best, it's not the most comfortable in hand, it's not even the classiest knife out there, not by a long shot. But you know what? I can't think of another knife out there in this size that has this level of versatility and usability. I have a million different ways to get this thing open, and in use, this thing hits way above its weight class. And all of that put together, it just earns my respect. This is a great design. I mean, I have my complaints, but all the ones that I mentioned here, they're either not all that serious or they just don't really affect me. This thing is well built, well tuned, and well designed. There's room for improvement, but what's on the table here, I think it earns its price, and that price is $425 for a base model like this one. And with Olamic, it only goes up from there depending on what you're after. And this one right here is actually from 2017, so who knows, maybe they already fixed the clip. But anyways, before I start rambling, I guess I'll just end it with this. There's nothing else like it on the market, so I'd say pick one up if it makes sense to you. That's all I got for you here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.